Well, it is the week of WrestleMania, and I do have a lot to cover. But before I preview WrestleMania and talk about some of the other wrestling shows that happened this week, I do have to talk about an unfortunate tragedy that happened over the weekend. That was the unfortunate passing of a Mexican wrestler whose name I'm sure I'm going to butcher, and I wish I could pronounce it better, but I'll do the best I can. Hijo Del Perro Aguayo, I believe his name was. I've never seen the guy wrestle. I've never heard of him, but I'm not the biggest aficionado or the most knowledgeable about Mexican wrestling, but I did hear that he had died in a tag match in Mexico that involved Rey Mysterio, and looking at the footage, it seemed to me like it was just one of those freak accidents that you don't expect. And wrestling is not completely safe, and accidents can happen at any time, and something like that, which looks so textbook and didn't look like it was anything dirty or that extreme, and something like that can happen. He gets knocked unconscious, cracks some vertebrae, and that's the end right there. I mean, I look at things like to really show how unsafe wrestling can be sometimes and how these guys really put their body on the line. Look at what that moment where Sid he jumped off the second rope to hit a double axe handle, which seems so normal and doesn't seem like it's that big of a move, but he twisted his ankle and his leg was just like his foot was just kind of like hanging off, and it was just one of the nastiest things I've ever seen in wrestling. And freak accidents like that can happen. You hope it won't, but every now and then you're going to get stuff like that. And obviously not as severe as somebody passing away, but I don't blame Rey Mysterio for what happened necessarily. Again, looking at the footage, it just looked like a freak thing. I don't know how Rey could deliver that drop kick any better. I've seen him do it harder to some guys. It was just one of those things. Actually, it looked to me like he was a little ginger getting back into the ring after taking a flying head scissors to the outside. So I don't know, maybe he hit something outside the ring and then just wasn't prepared to take the drop kick because he got knocked loopy or something. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. All I know is that this is very sad and very tragic, and I did want to come on here and pay my respects to to such an unfortunate thing to take place. And, it is, like I said, it's very sad and very tragic. And as a wrestling fan, it obviously hits a little bit harder when you hear about something like that taking place. But I'm sure Ray feels very bad about it. I'm sure everyone involved in that match feels very bad about it. Conan looked distraught, although I do have to say, after the dude's been knocked unconscious, shaking him is not the best medical procedure. But, just future advice to people that aren't aware of that. If somebody goes limp and goes unconscious, do not start shaking them. That is the last thing you want to do. But I'm not saying it would have made any of a difference in this case. I'm just saying just don't do that. But anyway, like I said, it is very sad, very tragic. I wanted to come on here and pay my respects, and hopefully something like this doesn't ever happen again. You hope it won't, but then again, like I said, wrestling is very, it can be unsafe no matter how many precautions you take, and it's a very dangerous business, and stuff like that can happen, unfortunately. Again, my thoughts and prayers go out to his friends and family, because I'm sure this is a huge shock and very tragic for all of them. Now on to much lighter things. I did want to talk about the other wrestling programs I saw this week. Aside from Raw, I will tie that into the discussion about preview and predicting WrestleMania 31. But before I jump into that, let me talk about some of the shows I actually enjoyed in the last week. On my birthday, I did watch TNA last Friday, where they had Angle versus Lashley for the title, and I thought the match itself was pretty good. Angle won, in what turned out to be a pretty damn good match, I thought. So I was like, okay, I'll take it. Like I said, I don't expect too much out of TNA at this point, so anytime they stumble onto something good, I kind of like, I'll take it. It wasn't as good as the week before with the Spud and EC3 stuff and the Rude and Eric Young match, but it was pretty solid. I thought the women's match on the show was pretty good too. So okay, so solid effort. There's still a lot of dumb shit on there, but I'll take the good and I'll point it out. Gotta find something, right? I also watched on Wednesday. On Wednesday, I watched. Want to get my proper grammar. But on Wednesday, I watched NXT and Lucha Underground. I was really looking forward to both shows. And I thought both shows delivered. I thought NXT delivered a pretty solid hour of wrestling. You got the women's title match between Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss, which was... It was okay. I'm not as sold on Alexa Bliss as I am some of the other girls like Bayley or Charlotte or Sasha. Sasha plays her character to the hilt and is just awesome, and I love her. She's just fantastic. Alexa, to me, still needs a little bit of work. I mean, she's beautiful to look at. I mean, she is absolutely gorgeous. And she does try hard, and she's not terrible. I'm just not seeing this obvious greatness, because some people tell me that she's fantastic and she's great and she's the future, and I look at her and I go, I don't know if I see that. I mean, again, like I said, I would put Charlotte and Bayley and Sasha above her in a heartbeat, and even Emma, who's a part of NXT now, and that segment she had with Bayley was actually pretty good. I've said it before, I'm not a fan of the way WWE does backstage segments, but if they're going to do it that way, at least try to make a point, and I thought the segment with Bayley actually came off well with the slap and everything. So, okay, yay, a non-title women's feud. Yay, that's how you make a division seem big. You have to have stuff going on outside of the title between the other participants in the division. That's something that has been sorely lacking in wrestling in the modern era, where it's like, oh, you have a division, well, the only thing that matters is the title, so the only time you see matches in the division is for the title. And it makes it seem very small and compact and unimportant. But anyway, sidetrack. I thought the Tyler Breeze Hideo Itami segment was very good. Tyler's just great. I can't put him over hard enough. Hideous Itami. I mean, come on, that's just fantastic. He's great. Now I'm looking forward to the 2 out of 3 Falls match, because they've had some good matches. So I think they can have another really good one together. And I also love the video packages they did for Finn Balor and Kevin Owens. I thought the video packages they did were very, very good and really set the stage for the main event very well. And the main event itself, Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor for the NXT World Heavyweight Championship, was very good. I really liked it. Very, very good match. And I was looking forward to it, and it delivered. And it was very good, very entertaining, very exciting. It captured the elements of Kevin Owens' character that I really liked. From the Sami Zayn match, where he's just this brute that will find a weakness and exploit it, and then just, in his mind, there's no such thing as going too far, and he will just push it to the extreme. I mean, there were some things he did with Finn Balor's leg when he caused the injury, like when he started cannonballing the leg in the corner and stuff like that. I was like, oh my god, that looks so vicious. And he's a violent brute, but he's a smart one, and I really like that aspect to his character. It brings a different element to his matches as opposed to everybody else, and I thought that came across very well. The action was very good. It was very well worked. You had this great moment where, going back to the leg injury, you had this great moment where Finn Balor was going for the coup de grace, which is his new name for the double foot stomp, which I'm so glad that they're giving names to some of those moves, like, because that move, the double foot stomp, and even Kevin Owens' pop-up powerbomb, to me, those aren't really good names because they're not really names, they're descriptions. I'm like, yeah, the double foot stomp, that's what it is. When Low-Ki used it in TNA, he called it the Warrior's Way. I'm like, all right, that's a name, that's cool, I'm fine with that. Give it a name, that's fine. If you call the Stone Cold Stunner the kick into a quick jawbreaker, it's probably not going to have the same impact. So come up with names for some of these things. I'm not saying coup de grace is the best thing in the world, but it's good enough. At least it's a name. And the pop-up powerbomb, they seem to be calling it the Lights Out, which I think is, again, a better name for it because at least it's a name. And I'm fine with that. And pop-up powerbomb, that doesn't sound right. It sounds like... It sounds a little cutesy, like a children's board game or something. Like, it's like Hi-Ho Cheerio, but with bombs. Which I just made that sound awesome, but whatever, fuck that. But anyway, getting back to my point, there was a moment where Finn Balor hit the coup de grace, and you think, oh my god, he's going to become the champion. And instead of doing the finisher kick-out, which they always do, and I've said before, finisher kick-outs are not be-all, end-all to me, because Anybody can do that. I can do that. I mean, if I'm putting a match together with absolutely no training, I could say to a guy, all right, what's your finisher? I'm going to kick out of that. Here's my finisher. You kick out of that. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of creativity to come up with that. If used correctly and if timed properly and everything, a finisher kick out can be very effective in telling the story, but a lot of times it's overused, and I actually have a gigantic rant to go on when I talk about the IC title ladder match and some of the matches we've been seeing on Raw lately, because I got a lot of ranting to get through. But in any case, instead of doing the finisher kick out, what they did was they reminded you that Finn Balor's leg was hurt, so when he hit the double foot stomp, he just kind of barreled over and started wincing in pain and holding his leg, and it was like, oh no, he can't capitalize, he can't get the win. And that was one of the things I liked about Punk and Joe's first match in ROH, where Punk hit the Pepsi Plunge, but he couldn't capitalize on Joe because Joe had been working over his leg the entire match. So when he came down on his knees, he hurt himself and he couldn't capitalize. I really liked that, and that was one of the reasons that Punk Joe match, the first one, is my favorite one in their series. But yeah, they did it here too, and I thought it was very effective and worked really well, and it allowed Kevin Owens to get the win. And overall, it turned out to be a very good match, and I think there is plenty of room for a rematch between the two. Because we didn't see Finn Balor come out. They seem to try and make a distinction on this show. They seem to try and make a distinction between Finn Balor and the Demon Finn Balor that you've seen at the two NXT specials with the flair and the entrance and everything. Like, it's almost two different personalities. Well, we've seen Kevin Owens fight regular Finn Balor. We haven't seen him fight the Demon Finn Balor, and I think that's something they can play with and something they can do down the road if they want to do a rematch between the two, which I would be completely open to. And I think it would open the new door for more possibilities and more, just a completely different match. And I think they could tell a different story, and I think it'd be completely fine. So, yeah, that match gets a definite thumbs up from me. But I watched NXT, and then I thought, okay, I've got Lucha Underground waiting for me in the DVR. Let me watch it now. That show was billed as having two big title matches. You had Alberto Del Rio versus Tejano Jr. in a bull rope match for the AAA Mega Heavyweight Championships. Try saying that 3 times fast. And you also had Prince Puma defending the Lucha Underground Championship against Cage in a Boyles Heights street fight. But they also opened up with Son of Havoc versus Angelico in what turned out to be a pretty fun match, I thought, with actual character development for Son of Havoc, where this guy can just never win a match. And then ultimately he decides, like, you know what? He finds his confidence to dump the woman that's kind of been holding him back and kind of been a thorn in his side or whatever. And, in finding that strength, he ultimately comes through and wins his second match. He did beat Sexy Star way back in, I think, episode 1 or 2. I thought it was like, there's actually some good character development there overall. And I thought that was pretty solid. I wasn't a fan of the Angelico Ivelisse match that they did I think it was 2 weeks before. I didn't think that match came off a little clunky. They couldn't really decide if it was going to be a comedy match or Ivelisse was supposed to be the face and Angelico the heel or what the hell was going on. That match came off a little messy, but I thought this one came off fine, and Son of Havoc came off really well. So that was cool. Then you get to your two big main events, and this is coming after the Grave Consequences match from last week, which I put over extremely hard. I thought was outstanding. And the Cage match the week before that, which I also thought was outstanding. So they're coming back this week with two big main events, and I thought both of them were pretty damn good. I really liked them both. The bull-rope match felt like they had edited some parts out, and it felt a little choppy in that aspect, but overall I thought it was a very nice, hard-hitting, just smash-mouth brawl where they just beat the crap out of each other. And they did have a moment where Tejano powerbombed Alberto through a table, and Alberto kicked out. And I thought, okay, we're getting into Super Cena territory with stuff like that. But overall, I did think it was a very nice match, and I do like that he got the tap out while tangled up in the ropes, because that kind of takes advantage of the no DQ aspect of it. Because a lot of times, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen it in Falls Count Anywhere matches and in no DQ matches. Well, if it's Falls Count Anywhere, to me the ropes shouldn't count for shit. Because to me the ropes designate out of bounds, but if it's Falls Count Anywhere, there are no bounds. So the rope, to me in Falls Count Anywhere, the rope shouldn't mean shit. But there's also that aspect, if it's no DQ, then you can't disqualify them for being tied up in the ropes either. So, you know, I like that. I thought it was different. It actually, again, gave a different flavor to the match. And overall, I thought the match was really, really good. And then the main event was this kind of high-flying, crazy spectacle of violence with Prince Puma doing all sorts of crazy shit. I mean, he did a shooting star press to the outside that was insane, and he did a... I believe it was a 450 splash through a table to the outside that was insane. And I was like, holy shit. It was either a 450 or it was a 630. I couldn't remember which. But both of those spots were just insane. But Cage came off like this big monster where it looked like he was going to win the title. And he just beat the crap out of Puma. But, you know, aggression, arrogance, hubris, all sorts of things came into play. And ultimately, Cage let himself get distracted by Hernandez, who has now joined Lucha Underground. I was not a fan of Hernandez's work as a single star in TNA. I liked him much better in LAX, but it was kind of like Roman Reigns actually, where it's like, oh, he looks great in the tag team, but then when you break him off to the singles, he doesn't look very good at all. But I'm willing to give him a chance. It's a new setting, it's a new atmosphere, it's a new everything. I'm willing to give the guy a shot and see what he does. Again, it's one of those things. We'll see. But Cage allowed himself to be distracted. Conan snuck into the ring and hit Cage with his new cane, with his new decked-out super metal cane or whatever, which allowed Puma to hit the 630 for the win. So yeah, Puma cheated to win, but I also kind of like this dynamic with Conan and Puma, where Puma feels like he's the honorable guy. He's the guy that wants to do things right and be kind of the hero of the promotion, but Conan's kind of this sullied character that tries to influence him to do things that are out of character for him. So eventually that's going to come to a crossroads, I think. And that's kind of been the relationship between the two from the beginning. And I think they could do some interesting stuff with that. So overall, I thought both main events were really good, and I thought the show as a whole was very, very good. And I do have to say, that new championship belt for Lucha Underground is sexy as fuck. When Dario Cueto came out with that thing, I was like, okay, I normally don't talk about how nice the title belts look or how bad they look. Well, I do talk about them if they look really, really bad, like Hardy's personalized TNA belt and the Divas Championship. But for the most part, I don't put too much stock into how the belts look. But that Lucha Underground World title looks fucking awesome. I was like, damn, that thing. Because the first belt they had kind of looked like a toy to me, and I kind of was like, that doesn't look too great. But it appears now they had it look that way because they wanted to do the bit where Cage ripped the belt in half. It's like, oh, it was a cheap piece of shit because they wanted to do that little segment. The real belt is really, really nice looking. I did want to put that over. And it was nice to see Dario again. He hasn't been on the last couple of episodes. I think he's... definitely the best authority figure character in wrestling right now. He's taken that old, tired bit of the heel authority figure and just made it his own and made it fresh again. And I think he's outstanding. I just love having him on the show. But again, Lucha Underground, they've been on a very strong streak lately of great shows with big grudge matches. So I couldn't be happier with them. But yeah, with that, let's jump into WrestleMania. Now, I'm going to need some help to get through this, because I'm going to rant and rave like a lunatic about this particular WrestleMania. Because just from top to bottom, the way that this show has been built has been so aggravating and so just... I don't even know where to begin. Well, I guess I should begin right at the logo. They're not calling it WrestleMania 31. It's WrestleMania Play Button. Because apparently... the numbers make it sound too old or some shit. I've heard that being thrown around, and it's like, oh my God in heaven above. I don't understand Vince McMahon. The man is not of this earth. He is a lunatic. He's just out there in space. It's, the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD becomes funnier and funnier in hindsight, because it's like, you're calling Ultimate Warrior a space cadet, you lunatic, you? What planet are you from? I mean, my God, but... Okay, but before I talk anything about this card, I'm going to need some help getting through this shit. Okay, this is Monty Python's Holy Grail Ale, or Holy Ale. They crossed out the GR. But, yeah, if anybody can help me go through this, the good old folks at Monty Python can. Honestly, I would down the entire holy hand grenade if it would help me get through this. But, oh, God. That's actually not bad beer. But, I mean, if you look at the card on paper, it's not the most terrible thing ever. And that's the thing. I don't think WrestleMania 31 is going to be one of the worst Manias ever. I don't truthfully think it can't possibly be that bad. But the unfortunate part is that it's one of those cases where the wrestlers are going to have to make it work because booking gave them nothing. And up and down this card, I look at the build-up, and I'm like, there's not one match that I'm, honest to God, looking forward to, that I'm chomping at the bits. I have to see that match. There's none, because they've done such a poor job of building it up, making me want anything on this card, that I cannot find anything within myself to get excited about. The Raws have been monotonous, boring, repetitive. I feel like I've watched the same episode of Raw 6 weeks in a row. It's horrible. It's horrendous. It's just, that's the worst of it. It's not even that it's that over-the-top terrible. It's just boring. And the way they built this thing up, pretty much from the Royal Rumble to now, I think has been one of the most uninspired build-ups to any WrestleMania I've ever seen. I won't say it's the worst build-up to a Mania I've ever seen. I still think 13 takes the crown on that one, because that was just, between Shawn Michaels losing his smile and the Royal Rumble winner not even making it into the main event, and all the wacky shit that happened with no direction, where it was clear that they had no plan or any direction or anything, to WCW Uncensored beating them in the buy rates with a somewhat ridiculous Battle Royal main event of what was essentially a throwaway card. I mean, things could not possibly get any lower for the WWF at that point. It was pretty bad. And then they had the Raw from Germany around that same time period, which did that shockingly low rating. And it's like, oh, that was not a good time for the WWE. Yeah, I just, the best way I can sum up the build-up to this particular WrestleMania is just uninspired. It was just, that's it. It's just a bunch of stuff that they threw on there, assuming that we would like it. Probably the best example of that is Bray and Undertaker, but I'll get into that as I go into the specifics of the card. But like I said, there's just nothing on here. There's nothing on here that I can get attached to. And a lot of the matches, I'm pretty sure I know who's going to win, and most of those choices that they're going to go with don't excite me. I could be wrong, but they've done nothing in the build-up to make me think that I am wrong, and that's a problem. There's no suspense in my mind. And if there's no suspense, or if there's no outcome that I'm excited to see, then why should I check out the show? I mean, I already have the network, so I might as well watch it. But if the show's terrible, I might cancel the network, because I can watch NXT on Hulu. So, I don't have to have the network to watch NXT. But let's just go over the card. I mean, this is just goddamn. Well, let's talk about. You want to talk about uninspired? Okay, the pre-show match is a 4-way tag team match for the tag titles, almost identical to last year's. Last year's tag match on the pre-show, again, the tag title match, of course it's on the pre-show. Usos versus the Real Americans, Cesaro and Swagger, versus Ryback and Curtis Axel, versus Los Matadores. This year's 4-way tag on the pre-show, the Usos, the Los Matadores, instead of Ryback, you're getting the New Day, which is shockingly a step down, believe it or not, because the New Day sucks. Ryback, they were just two jobbers that were thrown in there, but New Day, it's like, no, they just fucking suck. I mean, this gimmick is terrible. Between guys that are actually talented, I do like Kofi Kingston, it's just that gimmick is just awful. I like Xavier Woods. I actually like Big E Langston to a certain degree. It's just, that gimmick is just horrendous. So that's a downgrade. And then you have, instead of Swagger and Cesaro, it's Kid and Cesaro. And they're the champions, but I'm just amazed. It's like, wow, that match is almost identical to the one from last year. So, advancement, upward movement, what's that? Cesaro, he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal last year. Did that do anything for him? No, because they didn't have a plan, and they jerked Paul Heyman away from him for God knows what reason. I remember last year, after Cesaro won the Battle Royal, and they put him with Paul Heyman, people were honest to God thinking that it would be Lesnar versus Cesaro at WrestleMania 31. I am not fucking kidding you. That match was being thrown around last year, and people were legitimately excited for it. It was like, oh my God, that could be a really good match if they build up Cesaro right. They did not, and Cesaro was actually in the same position he was in last year, so it didn't even really matter. So, I'm probably not going to watch this match because I almost never watch the pre-show. Usually I'm either drinking beer or eating pizza for the Mania pre-show, or talking to somebody or doing whatever. And, in my mind, the show just hasn't started yet, so I'm probably not going to watch it. Who's going to win? God damn. I guess Cesaro and Kid keep the titles because I can't imagine New Day winning them. It's like, you can't be serious. I mean, the fans have taken to them like they would, I don't know, poison Brussels sprouts. I mean, like, who the fuck would want to see the New Day win the tag titles? And then you have the Los Matadores, who they are what they are. They're the same as they were last year, so I don't see them winning the tag belts. One of the Usos is hurt, so they're probably not going to do much in the match, so I can't see them taking the titles. And then you have Kid and Cesaro, who are the champions, so I guess you might as well just keep the belts on them for now. I would argue move them down to NXT. If it were up to me, I would take the belts off of them and move them down to NXT, because the tag division in NXT could use a few more teams. For some reason, the Vaudevillains have disappeared. I wish they'd use them more, but whatever. But, you throw Kid and Cesaro back into NXT, where they have a bit of a reputation for delivering. Throw them into that tag division against Blake and Murphy and the Lucha Dragons and Enzo and Cass and everything, and I think you get some pretty good things out of it. Yeah, I mean, I know you get bigger paydays on the main roster, but speaking creatively and artistically, I would rather see them on NXT, where I know they'd be used more substantially, and they'd get more. You get more output from their input, basically. Their effort would shine through, and you'd get better results from it. But that's neither here nor there. But let's go on to the main card, because oh boy, oh boy. Well, let's start off. I already mentioned it. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which is a match concept that I do not have a problem with. I think a Battle Royal is a good way to get guys on the show. It's a nice way to have a filler match on there, maybe do a special attraction, like some of WrestleMania's finest matches. Not finest matches, but some of their bigger, fun little attractions on some WrestleManias have been Battle Royals. They did the NFL WWF Battle Royal at WrestleMania 2. I thought that was one of the better parts of the show. I thought it was like, that was actually fun, and William Perry actually entertained in there. I was like, oh yeah, I kind of dug that. That was fun. Bruno actually got to be on a WrestleMania card because of that match, so yeah, that was fine. The Gimmick Battle Royal at 17, it was more about the entrances than the match itself, but it was fun. It was a fun little popcorn thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. The WrestleMania Diva, the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal could have been one of those, except they didn't give the girls entrances, so you had no idea who the fuck was in the ring. Good job on that one. The Tag Team Battle Royal at 14 was a good way to reintroduce the Road Warriors and ultimately get them into the tag title picture again. And Sunny looked hot as hell in that outfit. Just going to say, that is probably the hottest that Sunny ever looked, was in that Road Warrior gear. But, in any case, there's nothing wrong with a Battle Royal. If you want to get guys on the show, establish a new contender, provide some entertainment, give somebody a moment, do something. And the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, to me, is an opportunity to set somebody up for the next year. And I thought they were going to do that with Cesaro when he won, because it was actually a surprise that he won. It was like, oh, good, they actually did something right. And I thought they were going to put him on this path and build him up and do something with him. They did not. So to me, it's like, because the first one was such a bust, why do this again? But there's also this case, I look at this match, and I look at the guys that are in this match. I'm like, how many of the characters in here, and there are 20 guys that are going to be in this match, how many of these guys actually have a decent character direction? You have Fandango, who they fucked up royal. I mean, that guy could have been the next Honky Tonk Man. Like the new Millennium version of the Honky Tonk Man. They fucked him up royal. You've got Adam Rose in there. He's another one. Character went nowhere. They did the same song and dance every week. It was pointless. It was stupid. Now nobody cares. Miz and Mizdow are both in this when I argued that they should have their own match, but fuck you. That's WWE's attitude. Oh, this grudge match that we've been building for, again, longer than any other match on the card, quite honestly, when you go back and see how the relationship began and where it is now. They should have gotten a WrestleMania match, and they didn't get it. And I think that's a slap in the face to them. I think it's a slap in the face to the people that crafted the feud. I was like, this is actually a good feud that deserves a match. Why did they not have a match? Because fuck you, that's why. And I've heard some people suggest that Damien Mizdow is going to win the Battle Royal. I would book that in this case if I was given the book to take this show and do something with it, I would. But I don't think they're going to do that because I'm looking at this. It's like, to me, it's down to either Big Show or Ryback because those are the two guys that they keep promoting week to week. Kane maybe, but yeah, I don't see anything too big coming out of this. And I would love it if Mizdow won, but I don't think that that's going to happen. But they should definitely do something to make up for the fact that they didn't get a WrestleMania match. I think that that's shameful. Goldust and Stardust, their feud has no conclusion, so Goldust is just in there for no reason. Zack Ryder, can't believe he still has a job. The Primetime Players, hey, they got back together and did nothing. The Ascension, I guess Vince is already bored with them, so they're stuck in this with no direction. It was just a mess. Honestly, the most exciting thing about this match is that one of the NXT guys is going to get a spot in this. They're going to... I think they may have already held the tournament. They're either holding it tonight or, as I'm filming this, or they're going to hold it at some point during WrestleMania weekend. But, that's the most exciting thing. It's like, ooh, who's the NXT guy that's going to get a WrestleMania spot? That's the thing I care most about this match. And if it were up to me, I would give it to either Finn Balor and let him do his entrance on a WrestleMania, which would be awesome, or Adrian Neville, one of those two. Those are the two I think would shine the most in this setting. But in any case, I'm not going to hold my breath for anything here, anything special. I'm picking Ryback to win it just because he's the one guy that seems to have any kind of momentum. Oh, you know who else is in this match? And I do want to talk about this. Curtis Axel. I want to use Curtis Axel to highlight the things that I hate about the way WWE writes things, okay? Curtis Axel. He was beaten up by Eric Rowan and unofficially taken out. Well, he was eliminated from the Royal Rumble, but not because he got thrown over the top rope, because he got beat up and couldn't actually officially enter. So he was taken out of the match. So the next night on Raw, they have him come out and say that I was never eliminated from the Royal Rumble. This is bullshit. I got screwed. Dean Ambrose comes out and beats him up and throws him out of the ring. Now, here's my point with this. With this character, with this motivation, you have something there. It's like, all right, you have a character that has a legitimate gripe, that has, something that you can do with. Create an arc for him heading into WrestleMania. You could have made him the centerpiece of this Battle Royal. You could have made him like, you could have done something with him like where he keeps complaining that he got screwed out of the Royal Rumble, so he tries to ruin WrestleMania. Maybe he attacks Daniel Bryan, and that'll be Daniel Bryan's WrestleMania feud or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. Maybe he rebels against the Authority because he feels like, their rules are what screwed him over, so you make a babyface out of him. Maybe he attacks Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns or something and starts running them down in promos or something, anything. I don't know. You can give the guy an arc heading into WrestleMania based on this motivation that you've given him. They did not do that. They had him get humiliated on the first night in. Okay, it's a one-night gag. I can live with a one-night gag, and when Dean Ambrose did it, it was funny. So it was like, all right, it's a one-night gag. That's the end of it. I have watched Curtis Axel get humiliated and thrown out of the ring week after week after week after week, and Hogan and Snoop Dogg even did it to him on Raw this week. So I just have to sit there and go, it's like, all right, you either give this guy an arc or you make it a one-note gag. You cannot make a running gag out of this because it's just the same thing every week. I don't care anymore. You've already humiliated him. You've given us our payoff. And actually, SummerSlam 91 was the first pay-per-view I ever ordered. The Mountie was built up as this arrogant asshole heel, and then at SummerSlam, Bossman beats him, and the stipulation was that the loser would have to spend the night in jail. The Mountie gets humiliated, and it's really funny. And they do all these segments where he's being booked and fingerprinted and photographed, and he has a cellmate that's gonna rape him, and all this other like really weird off the wall stuff. And it's just the ultimate payoff to the Mountie being this arrogant prick for months. And that's the problem. They built him up. He didn't get his comeuppance until the pay-per-view when it was time, and the payoff was beautiful. They did not do that here with Curtis Axel. They think that if they just humiliate a guy week after week after week, it'll be funny. But after a while, it gets boring, stale, and you're not getting a payoff because you're not building heat on the guy. If you want to have Curtis Axel get humiliated, okay, fine. Do it at WrestleMania in the Battle Royal after he's been talking for months about how he was never eliminated in the Royal Rumble. There's your damn payoff. And it's just shit like that just annoys me. And it just makes the television show obnoxious. It's like, oh, gee, Curtis Axel came out and he's running his mouth. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen. The same goddamn thing that happens every week. It's fucking just atrocious. It is just mind-numbingly awful, and it's just that type of writing that just drives me insane. And I can't stand it. But anyway, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I don't care. I have no reason to care. I don't want to care. Whatever the fuck. Let's just move on. We also have a Divas tag match. Paige and AJ versus the Bella Twins. We already had the Divas title match on Raw, so now we're downgrading to a tag match at WrestleMania. I don't care. I don't fucking care. And this is not a reflection on the girls that are involved. I'm not running them down. It's the booking. The booking's the problem. It's not their fault. Hopefully they go out there and have a good match. I like the idea of pairing up AJ and Paige. I think it's hysterical that they keep referencing that AJ and Paige feuded all of last year and had like 8 billion matches. And yet this whole big angle between the Bella Twins, we're not supposed to remember it at all. And fuck you for having a memory. It's just good. Whatever. So yeah, I don't care about this match. I have no reason to care. They have not given me a reason to care. Nothing's on the line. Nothing's at stake. And they did the bigger match on Raw this week, so who gives a fuck? And oh well, whatever. Now I guess now's a good time to talk about the ladder match for the Intercontinental title, which I assume is going to open up the show because I can't picture anything else opening up the show. Orton and Seth is probably too big. Bray and Undertaker's too big. Sting and Triple H is too big. Obviously, Lesnar Reigns is going to close. Cena and Rusev is probably too big. So, they're probably going to open up with the ladder match. It's a flashy little highlight reel spot fest that's going to get the crowd going. And, yeah, that's what you're going to get out of this match. You're going to get guys diving off of ladders and killing each other and just breaking their bodies to make this match mean something and to make it work. The problem is that the booking week to week to week to week to week has been absolutely terrible. It's just been, oh my god. Right, I talked about directionless characters in the Battle Royal. Let's talk about the directionless characters in this match, okay? R-Truth, a complete non-factor pretty much since Awesome Truth broke up. Has R-Truth done anything since then? I don't know. I forget. He's one of those guys I forget he's even there. And then, right after Fastlane, all of a sudden, he's back in the IC title picture. Why? You have not put this guy on any kind of winning streak. You have not put this guy on any kind of significant promotion. You've given him nothing, and now all of a sudden I'm supposed to give a shit that he's in an Intercontinental title match. And then you wonder why nobody cares about the Intercontinental title. Just, okay. All right. I'll give you that one. Then there's Stardust, who got thrown into this match because his feud with Goldust wasn't working, and the match they had at the last pay-per-view wasn't very good, even though that feud was booked like shit because they turned, again, talking about repetition, I think Stardust turned heel like 3 times where he beat up Goldust or slapped him or something. I was like, alright, dude, you only need to turn heel once. They did the same thing with Adam Rose and the Bunny where he just beat up the Bunny every week, and I'm like, alright, so is he a heel yet, or are they just doing the heel turn every week, or what's going on here? I don't even know anymore. But I hate the way they write their show. It's it just drives me fucking crazy. But Stardust, who's on an island right now, who lost at the last pay-per-view, is now in an Intercontinental title match. Does that make any sense? No. Should Goldust be in this match over Stardust? The way they booked it? Yes, because Goldust won last month. But it doesn't make any sense. Nothing makes any sense. It's all just magical fairyland, and I'm the one that's being too negative and too nitpicky. What the fuck ever. Then you have poor Luke Harper, who the Wyatts should have never split. Eric Rowan's doing nothing. Luke Harper's doing nothing. The Wyatts should have never split. That's all there is to that. And the Wyatts should be featured in a big match at WrestleMania, but they are not because they had to break them up for whatever goddamn reason, because after the Cena feud, they got chewed up and spit out, so who cared anymore? But okay. Then there is the Intercontinental Champion Wade Barrett, who loses every single goddamn non-title match, and I cannot tell you how sick I am of non-title matches because it's used as a cheap tool to build up contenders. Hey, you want to know how you build up contenders? Put them on a goddamn winning streak over other people other than the champion. You have to build them up to the champion, and then if they beat the champion, it feels like a big deal. If you have the champion lose all the time, then nobody will care when he ultimately drops the belt. It's stupid. And that's one of the things that NXT typically does better. Most of last year, Charlotte was mostly unbeaten. Adrian Neville was mostly unbeaten. So that when they eventually did lose the belt, it felt like a big deal. Now, last week they had Alexa Bliss beat Sasha Banks in a non-title match, which I didn't like that. But at least that was a count-out, so I'll let it slide at least a little bit. I think the title match was a little rushed, but whatever, I'm getting sidetracked. And then you have arguably 3 of the most over baby faces in the company. Dean Ambrose, who was originally on the path to get to the IC title, but because he ended up sharing the spotlight with 7 other people, he got lost in the shuffle, so fuck him. His character direction got screwed up. Dolph Ziggler, who amounted to nothing after getting that big win at Survivor Series. They gave him no direction, no nothing. So once again, he's back into doing what he always does, which is stuck in the Intercontinental title picture. And then you have goddamn Daniel Bryan, who came the fuck back from neck surgery that some of us thought would be the end of his career, and they did not have a big match lined up for him. They did not have a storyline lined up for him. It's like, all right, you don't want to put him in the main event. You're dead set on Roman Reigns. Okay, fine. How the fuck do you not have a plan for Daniel Bryan? And he just gets thrown into this goddamn ladder match where he's going to be falling off the damn thing and doing all these high spots that nobody's going to give a shit about 2 months from now because it'll look like every other goddamn 8-man ladder match you've ever seen. And they're fighting over a prize that doesn't mean shit and nobody cares, and it's just... I feel bad for everybody involved in this because it's just a mess all around. It's just a mess. And the angles that they have done on TV week to week with them playing hot potato with the belt and stealing the IC belt and doing all this other shit, which that's another weird Vince McMahon thing that I have to rant on. Yeah, the title and the belt are not the same thing, Vince. I know you hate the word belt for whatever weird alien reason that you hate the word belt, but the title and the belt are not the same thing. Look at it this way. If I get my PhD, and I study real hard, I pass all the exams and everything, I get my PhD, I have earned the title of doctor. The piece of paper that is my degree, my PhD, or what the fuck ever, that is the artifact that represents that I have that title. If some asshole breaks into my house, or my home, or my apartment, or what the fuck ever, and steals that piece of paper, they have not stolen my title. I am still a doctor. I have the title of doctor, okay? They stole the artifact that designates that I have that title, that represents that I have that title. So when they talk week after week after week after week about, oh, R-Truth stole the title and Dean Ambrose stole the title, I'm just sitting there like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. They stole the belt. They stole the artifact. They didn't steal the title. Wade Barrett still has the title. He's still the Intercontinental Champion. And he will still have that title as long as he is champion. And that's just one of those weird things. I ranted about it when they said that WrestleMania 25 was the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania when it really wasn't. And all that other, it's like that line from The Princess Bride. It's like, you keep using this word. I do not think you know what it means. But, just motherfucker. And the matches that they have every week, the same, I swear to God, it's just tag match after tag match after tag match after tag match after tag match. And every now and then they'll do a non-title match, which I hate. I've already ranted on those, so it's like, I can't handle this. I just can't. It's just monotonous bullshit over and over and over again. It's just the worst. It is the fucking worst. And these tag matches that they've been doing has highlighted another problem that really bothers me about modern day wrestling, and that is how a lot of the moves don't really mean anything. And Wade Barrett has like 6 signature moves. He has the Winds of Change. He has Wasteland. He has all these other moves. He only ever beats anybody with a bullhammer, so all the other moves are just used to set up 2 counts. Dolph Ziggler. I love Dolph Ziggler. He never beats anybody with the super kick. He never beats anybody with the famouser. This week on Raw, I saw him with Daniel Bryan. He did a fucking face buster off the top rope, and I know I've seen him do that move many, many times before. Never beats anybody with it. John Cena does this flying leg drop off the top rope in most of his big matches. Has he beat anybody with it? No. I could go on and on. Undertaker's WrestleMania matches, because everybody kicks out of the tombstone now, I know they're going to kick out of at least one. And at this point, if Bray doesn't kick out of a tombstone, then he looks like shit because he's automatically below average. But my point is, all these guys have all these big moves that are used for no other reason than to set up a 2 count. Well, dramatically, there's a big problem with that, because if I never see them win with those moves, then I know that there's going to be a kick out, because I've conditioned to think so. I know that Dolph Ziggler's never going to get the win with the famouser. I know that John Cena's never going to get the win with the flying leg drop that he does. I know that Luke Harper does this fucking powerbomb that looks sick as hell, that makes the Batista palm look like child's play. Never beats anybody with it. If he never beats anybody with it, then why the hell should I care when he hits it? And actually, Jake the Snake Roberts, I remember him making this point in a shoot interview. It was either a shoot interview or some radio interview somewhere. He said, all these people do these variations of the DDT, like the tornado DDT and all these other things, but they never beat anybody with it. So really all you're doing is telling people that Jake the Snake Roberts is better than you. That's really all you're doing. And I think there's some legitimacy to that point, where all these guys have all these big signature moves that they do, but they only ever win with their finisher. And I think some of those moves should win matches once in a while, just to create more drama when there's ultimately a kick out for those. But that's a problem with wrestling across the board. It's just more prominent in the WWE because I feel like I'm seeing the same goddamn matches every week. Yeah, that is what it is. Oh my God, it's just, I feel like this is probably the worst belt match on the show, because between the hot potato stuff and the same goddamn match, the same goddamn match every week, to Wade Barrett looking like shit as champion, and oh my God, on Raw this week, they even gave us the goddamn ladder match. They even had them fight on the ladder and try to climb the thing. Why are they trying to climb to win the belt? I mean, the match isn't going on right now. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Why are you stealing the belt? What good does that do? None of this makes any fucking sense. I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. But those guys are going to go out there. They're going to take this. Okay, you know what it is? I'm the only person I know that's ever seen the movie Drowning Mona. If you have seen it, good for you. If you have not seen it, go check it out. I think it's pretty funny. It's a small independent comedy film that actually has a pretty impressive cast. Danny DeVito's in it, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, Bette Midler's in it. It's a pretty star-studded cast. There's a line in there: when life hands you potatoes, make potato salad. Well, life just handed me a pile of shit. What am I supposed to do with that? Make shit salad. What you're going to see in this match, you're going to see 7 guys go out there and try and take the shit that they've been handed and make shit salad out of it. And they're going to do that by diving off of ladders and basically killing themselves. Because that's really all they can do at this point. So, you know, I feel bad for them. I feel bad. At least with the Money in the Bank ladder matches, the prize actually meant something. I mean, nobody gives a shit about the IC title now. I mean, does it really matter? As far as a prediction goes, I'll go with Daniel Bryan to win it, just as like that cheap way of throwing us a bone. It's like, see, we we gave Daniel Bryan something good, yeah. What the fuck ever. It's like, go fuck yourselves. Anyway, that's that match. I think I ranted enough about that. So, goddamn, what else is left on this card? Well, we've got Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins. Now, I kind of figured that this was going to be a WrestleMania match back in the fall when they did the thing where Seth Rollins initiated Randy Orton being kicked out of the Authority, and they did the whole thing where Orton got beat down and just brutalized. He was gone for months. So I figured that this was going to be a WrestleMania match. That is perfectly fine. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is when you bring Orton back and you do this stupid storyline where it's like, no, I gotta sneak my way back into the Authority so I can trick Seth Rollins, and I gotta pick my spot. So when I get it, then I'll beat the crap out of him. It's like, real great fucking plan, you idiot. I mean, and it makes the heels look like morons because they bought it. So it's like, alright, so everybody looks dumb now. And then they did the bit where Randy Orton beat the ever-living shit out of Seth Rollins, arguably worse than what Seth and the Authority did to Orton back in the fall, which does 2 things, both negative. One, the beatdown was meaningless because Seth Rollins was back the next week without a mark on him, so the beatdown meant nothing. So they pretty much already erased it, so what was the point of even doing it if Seth wasn't going to sell the injury at all? And the second problem it does is that, again, going back to what I said about the Mountie, you build up the heat, you build up the heat, you build up the heat, you don't sully the heel until it is time for him to take the fall. Theoretically, you would have built up Seth Rollins and he'd not suffer much in the way of humiliation, theoretically. And let's assume they'd done that with Seth all the way to WrestleMania. You would have fans interested in wanting to see Randy Orton beat the ever-living dog shit out of Seth Rollins. Oh wait, I have already seen him beat the ever-living dog shit out of Seth Rollins, so why should I care now? You've given away your ending. I don't care anymore. And you've ruined your story. You gave away your ending. And it was like Rosie O'Donnell spoiling the ending of Fight Club. It's like, oh, fuck you. Although I had seen Fight Club before I actually saw that clip, so joke's on you. But anyway, yeah, I mean, they really killed the build-up to that match, I think, by doing that. And it's just, again, it's just basic storytelling. You don't have the heel get destroyed. You don't have your villain get destroyed before it's time to take the fall, before it's time for the climax. If Vince McMahon was writing Star Wars, Darth Vader would have been killed at the end of Empire, and they would have had to create a whole new villain for Return of the Jedi, because, fuck, and then Luke Skywalker would be this unstoppable juggernaut. He would beat everybody all the fucking time, because we don't want our heroes to look weak, so they have to be super assassin killers all the time, and juggernauts that tear through everybody. It's just fucking, fucking, whatever. Alright. Sam Adams, it's your turn to bail me out. All right. What the fuck ever. I think this match has potential to be the best match on the show. And again, it goes back to what I'm saying about, I don't think this WrestleMania on its own is going to be the worst Mania ever. It's just that the build-up has been so poor, I don't care. This match highlights that better than anything. It's like, they had a good storyline here, they had a good situation, they had a good setup for the match, and they fucking blew it. It's just, hey, whatever. Whatever, it's not my pay-per-view, I'm not writing it, fine, whatever. I'm not trying to fucking make money off this thing, whatever, what the fuck, who cares? Who cares? I don't even care. Fuck it. Who cares? Anyway, I'm going to pick Seth Rollins to win because I think they want to run with him as top heel, or as a top heel post-Mania. So we'll just go with that, and I could see it going either way. Also, I should also note this match is not a street fight of any kind, so any of the stuff that you saw on Raw when Orton beat the crap out of him, probably not going to happen at Mania. So what you're going to see at Mania is going to be less than what you saw on Raw. It's a good way to raise the stakes there. Although I'm sure you'll see a big burn-off in the rematch at Extreme Rules, which sometimes they might as well just call it the Road to Extreme Rules, because typically you get the better payoffs at that show. Just fuck it, who the fuck cares anymore? Oh my god, it's such a disaster. But anyway, moving right along, like a Goofy movie, or no, Muppet movie, I'm sorry, I got my movies mixed. The Muppet movie, moving right along. You've got John Cena challenging Rusev for the United States Championship. Cena wins, LOL. I mean, is there any doubt that Cena's going to win this fucking thing? And what's really disappointing to me is that you have this heel that you've built up for over a year. You've kept him undefeated. You've kept him strong for the most part. They did that segment with The Rock where Rock beat him up, where I just rolled my eyes. I'm like, yeah, that's helpful. That's real helpful. Yeah. Let's have the part-timer come in and beat up the most dominant heel you have. That's a regular on the show anyway. I mean, Lesnar's the most dominant, but Rusev is the most dominant one that's on the show every week. But nah, fuck it. Let's have The Rock beat him up. Who cares? And then they wonder why people only give a shit when the part-timers show up. It's like what CM Punk talked about in the podcast, where he's like, look, you fed me to Rock, you fed me to Triple H, you fed me to fucking Brock Lesnar, you fed me to Undertaker. My stock is dropping, and I'm here every week. Okay? And you're conditioning people to only care when the part-timers show up. So eventually that's going to come to a point where, the part-timers aren't going to be available anymore, and you're going to be stuck with a bunch of guys that you push to the background or you fed to the part-timers. It's just, oh well. What are you going to do? But anyway, that really has nothing to do with this match. Rusev versus Cena for the United States title. Cena's going to win, because fuck you, that's why. If I were booking Rusev, to me it would be no question that Rusev wins. No question at all. Because I'm like, there's no reason to give John Cena this win. There's no reason to have Rusev just be another statistic in John Cena's career. We've done a mostly great job of protecting him. Let's keep that ball rolling and see if we can get Rusev's ultimate fall down for a bigger payoff down the road. But no, the whole thing's just for Cena to get a win, all for America. And I should say right now, and this is a problem with the build-up to most of Rusev's feuds, Rusev is not a heel. He really is probably the most noble character on the show. I am an American. I love living in this country. I love the life that I've been given in this country. I am perfectly okay with supporting America. There is nothing wrong with that. America is not perfect. I hated most every elected official that has served time in office in my entire life, basically. I won't name names, but like I said, it's most of them. It's not perfect. There's, racism and all sorts of things in this country but no country's perfect, and overall, I like the life that I've been given here, and I've enjoyed my time here and everything, and I love living in this country. And I fully understand wanting to support America. What I do not understand is the borderline psychotic xenophobia that the babyfaces show against Rusev, to the point that they come off looking like mental patients. Like, if you say anything bad about America, I'm gonna beat you up, you piece of shit. And they will do things like Mark Henry and Big Show will double team Rusev, that dastardly heel getting beat up by two guys. How noble, how heroic of you to team up on that one guy and beat him up. It's so great. And that whole bit they did with Big Show where Rusev attacked that soldier, it's like, oh, how how horrible that Rusev would do that. Oh, you mean that soldier that jumped the rail and tried to attack him first? Well, he was going to disrespect the American flag. Oh, you mean the American flag that was put there in place because Big Show's a xenophobe and Rusev thought that his flag was going to be there instead, and Big Show pulled a nasty trick on him and Rusev was just responding in a somewhat understandable way? Okay, sure. Who's the babyface again? And again, you have that here where Cena just comes off looking like a xenophobe, basically. It's just crazy. And it's just insane to me. And Rusev is a guy that fights for what he believes in, talks down to anybody that stands against his country and his beliefs, defends his friend Lana. That was another thing. Like, Jericho made, accusations that him and Lana were fucking, which apparently they're dating in real life. And Rusev immediately stepped in front and was like, shut the fuck up, you piece of shit. And I was like, don't you talk about my friend like that. He did it to Rock, too. He got in Rock's face, like, don't you talk about my friend like that. So, okay, he will stand up for the people that stand for his allies, like Lana. He's an overall noble character, but because he's anti-American, he's the heel by default, even though I think the babyfaces have given him plenty of reasons to hate America. Like, if I were a character within this fictional universe of the WWE, this crazy, backwards, moral universe that they've created, I would go up to Rusev and I'd be like, look, man, I'm an American, and on behalf of the Americans on this roster, I apologize for the way you've been treated, because you have every reason to hate our country based on the way that these assholes have treated you. But to be perfectly honest, I don't, I'm not as crazy as those people. I love my country, but I don't hate any other people that point out some of the issues with my country or whatever. It's just, it's stupid. So the build-up has that problem, because all the Rusev build-ups have that problem, because, I keep calling him a monster heel, but he's really not a heel. I think Rusev, like I said, he's probably the most noble character on that show. They did the match last month at Fastlane, which I knew Rusev was going to win just to set up the Mania match. And it's just falling step for step exactly as I predicted it would go. And on Raw this week, they had Rusev beat the ever-living dog crap out of Cena, which just confirmed it in my eyes. Cena's going to overcome them odds, and he's going to win and beat Rusev and put away the undefeated streak and do all that shit. And it's like, fucking great. Fucking great. I don't care. And this will actually be the second WrestleMania in a row that John Cena would have gone over like a new heel, like a new-ish heel character with a lot of momentum that they would just flush down the drain. I said that Bray Wyatt should have gone over last year. They didn't do it. I knew they weren't going to do it. And this year, I think Rusev should go over, no question. I don't think they're going to do it. I highly doubt they're going to do that. I'm almost 100% certain that Cena's going to win. And fuck you. That's basically all there is to say about it. It's just, fuck you. Cena wins, LOL. He's the hero. He's the All-American, and yet nobody likes him. Well, okay. Kids like him. Women kind of like him. Nobody else really seems to. He's just that guy that's a big star for the WWE. Nobody can really, give me a reason for why they like John Cena beyond the fact that, well, he's the top star and he sells merch. I'm like, all right, well, why do you like him? Can anybody give me a reason? What is there to like about John Cena, the character? Because I can't find anything. I'm just glad he's not in the main event this year. Although, be careful what you wish for. Moving right along from there, we have Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker, which... okay, if they had done this last year, it would have been great. The streak is no longer a factor, so the stakes are dropped immediately, just not having the streak anymore. But, okay, so you have Bray Wyatt coming out every week and cutting all these promos about Undertaker, and it's the same thing every week. And we get almost no response from Undertaker. We get a rest in peace message, which sounded like it was recorded over the phone, possibly over Skype, which the idea of Undertaker on Skype is just hilarious. But you get that, and then this week on Raw you get Lightning, which I haven't seen that before. Now, I understand that you want to save Undertaker's return for WrestleMania and you don't want to have him on TV before then. Okay, that's fine. I get that. That makes a lot of sense. Look at the build-up to WrestleMania 20 and the match with Kane. You had the gong go off at the Royal Rumble. You had the bit with the casket. You did the bit with the urn. You had all these creepy video packages and all these responses from Undertaker's like, he's coming. He's coming. Undertaker's coming. And then you get your payoff at WrestleMania 20, which I didn't think the match itself came off that well, but neither here nor there. They saved Undertaker for the pay-per-view while at the same time whetting your appetite and getting you excited for it. They did not do that here. It was just Bray Wyatt coming out every week cutting a promo. Not all the promos were bad. I'm not saying they were bad. Some of them bordered on him spouting gibberish. Some of them, like the one on Raw this week, was actually pretty good. But I think Bray Wyatt deserves an A for effort for having to sell this feud entirely on his own because he's getting no help from the writing or the booking or even from Undertaker. He's not getting anything. It's just him having to sell this thing all on his own. And it's hard to do that when you're just going out there and doing the same exact thing every week with absolutely no response from the other side. In the WrestleMania 20 build-up, I felt Undertaker's presence all the way through to WrestleMania 20. This show, I forget that Undertaker's even a factor on the show. It's like, oh yeah, is he even going to be at Mania? I don't even know. It's like, I mean, I do know, but at the same time, it's like, they didn't do anything to really whet my appetite or make me excited to see Undertaker return after a year on the shelf after the streak ended. There's a lot of things they could have done with that, and they didn't do anything. It just feels like they built up Bray Wyatt again and gave him all those victories just so they could do this haphazard feud with Undertaker, where again, it's like Cena. I'm almost 100% certain that Taker's going to win. So you build up this heel just to feed him to Taker. I have no reason to think, again, I could be wrong, but I have no reason to think that Taker's going to lose this. I have no reason to think that they would keep him off TV all that time throughout the entire build-up and then have him return at WrestleMania and then just have Bray Wyatt beat him. I don't think they're going to do that. I would love it if they did. I think it would be shocking. I think that would be actually interesting. I think it would actually give Bray Wyatt somewhat, give him some legitimate momentum and allow them to do something with him down the road. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think he's going to get fed to Taker on a silver platter, and that's going to be it. And honestly, I would not be surprised if they booked it as a semi-squash match where Taker kind of destroys Bray. I would not be surprised if it was booked like that, because I've seen them do that before with returning superstars, just getting kind of a big squash match on their return. They did it with Undertaker and Kane at WrestleMania 20, to reference that feud again. I mean, Undertaker pretty much destroyed Kane in that match. They did it with Triple H and Booker T at that one SummerSlam, I believe it was 2007, where Triple H made his return, and he pretty much chewed up Booker T and spat him out. So I've seen them do stuff like that before. I hope they don't do that to Bray. I think Bray deserves better, but I'm not going to hold my breath. And if they do end up booking the match like that, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if Undertaker dispatched of Wyatt within 10 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised, or even shorter than that. And if Bray Wyatt doesn't kick out of the tombstone, he's going to look like shit. Because Shawn Michaels, Triple H, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, all of them kicked out of the tombstone. All these WrestleManias in a row. So at this point, kicking out of the tombstone is the average. And Bray Wyatt is going to be below average by not kicking out of the tombstone. So there's a lot of potential to damage Bray Wyatt here. There's also a lot of potential to help him out greatly by giving him that win. But like I said, I don't think they're going to do that. But again, I could be wrong. But to validate my feelings, the WWE has not given me any reason to believe that Bray Wyatt could actually beat him either. So it's, falls on the booking. So you have that match. I'm picking Undertaker to win. Then you have Sting versus Triple H, which I'm okay with this match. I mean, it's cool for the aspect that Sting is going to be having a WrestleMania match. And I think that part of it is cool. That's fine. That's good. All well and dandy. And like I said, I think Triple H could have an easier time getting a good match out of him than Undertaker could, although I'm convinced that they're going to do Sting and Undertaker at WrestleMania 32. Just way, way too long after that match should happen. But again, you know, that's... I read a report earlier today that they want to have a ton of legends at WrestleMania 32. I'm like, yeah, that'll save everything. I mean, don't you want to come up with new ideas? And that's my thing. Don't you want to come up with like new ideas to excite the fan base and excite the people to really get them invested in your product like you did during the Attitude Era? But no, it's like, no, we got to keep going back to the past. We got to get those part-timers out there to rev up the buy rate or, you know, get the attendance up or whatever. It's like, well, you know, when you can't come up with anything creative, you might as well just rely on your past and rest on your laurels. Why not? But in any case, Sting and Triple H, I'm not sure what shape or what we're going to get out of Sting. I hope he doesn't wrestle with a t-shirt on. He did that a lot in TNA, especially towards the end, and it was kind of... It took away from the mystique a little bit. Hopefully that does not happen. Hopefully Sting's in at least decent shape, and hopefully Triple H can get a good match out of him. And hopefully, I mean, Sting's gonna win. I mean, if they have Sting lose, I mean, then fuck you. But there's no reason for Sting to lose this match, and Triple H isn't gonna be hurt by it at all. So, yeah, this is like the one match that I'm kind of sort of interested in, just to see what Sting is like and what Sting delivers, and just to see Sting on the WrestleMania stage. But even that, it's like, that's all you got? Really? Okay. I mean, it doesn't even feel like that big of a deal. It's probably overall the best built match on the card, which, again, isn't saying much, but because I feel like I've seen 2 or 3 stare downs between the two, and that feels slightly repetitive. But other than that, I mean, this is by default the best built match on the card. So hopefully it delivers at least a solid match, and hopefully Sting gets the win and gets you know, his big WrestleMania moment. So okay, we'll see what happens there. Then we got the main event. Roman Reigns, the Royal Rumble 2015 winner, going up against Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. Now, the most interesting thing about this build-up actually came about this week. Not on Raw, because that tug-of-war segment they did on Raw this week was laughably terrible. They built up a face-to-face encounter between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, and the show basically ends with them going, no, my belt. No, I'm sorry, it's my title. It's my title, because you can't call them belts, because Vince McMahon is a goddamn fucking weirdo. But anyway, that segment was laughably terrible, and again, getting into repetition every week. You get Paul Heyman coming out, cutting a promo, trying his damnedest to sell the match, but nobody cares. Nobody fucking cares. But the most interesting thing in the entire build-up of this match has actually been the fact that Brock Lesnar re-signed with the WWE and is going to be staying with them apparently for another 3 years. Okay. The reason that makes it interesting, because I thought and I assumed that Roman Reigns was going to win the title. I was like, okay, it's like that's what they're doing, that's where they're going, it's going to be Roman, and nothing's going to change that. Well, Lesnar re-signed, so they have an excuse to keep the title on Brock, and Roman Reigns is not working. I'm sorry. It's not even like that dueling Cena chant where it's like half the crowd hates him and the kids all love him. It's even worse than that. It's almost like apathy at this point, where they're just like, really? This is the guy? What does Roman Reigns really have? And the only thing anybody can tell me, he has a look. Okay, great. Is that it? That's all he's got? So he's all flash, no substance? Because, like I said, in the tag matches with the Shield, he did great. He was exciting. He'd come in, hit his spots. But once you broke Ambrose and Rollins away from him, a lot of the weaknesses started to come out. The promos weren't good. That's his biggest problem right there off the bat. The matches weren't very good. He had matches with Seth Rollins. Seth fucking Rollins, who is arguably the best worker in the company right now, and you can't have a good match with him, something's wrong. I mean, and Seth is one of his friends. I mean, those two presumably are friends backstage. I would think they spent so much time working together that I would assume that they have a good working relationship, and Seth is not known to go out of his way to screw people or make people look bad on purpose or anything, so the matches just weren't that good, and that's astounding to me. But he's just not working. And ever since the Royal Rumble, it's just kind of gotten this. The fans have almost kind of adopted this kind of, like I said, apathy, where they're just like, okay, let's just get this over with. And that's kind of my attitude towards this whole WrestleMania. Let's just get past WrestleMania. Whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna do. And then we'll just figure it out from there, and hopefully you get better. But let's just get past WrestleMania. But, I mean, Brock's going to be the babyface. I mean, is that even a question? The crowd's going to cheer for Brock? I mean, the guy that ended the streak is going to be the babyface because the fans said so. That is insane to me. That is like the guy that did this horrible thing that every WWE fan on the planet should hate him for. And the fans are like, no, Roman sucks. We're going to go with Brock. We don't care what you say or what you do. And it's crazy. I mean, it's fucking crazy. So I'm still going to pick Roman to win. I would not be surprised if Brock retained. Again, given the news that he resigned. But I'm still going to pick Roman to win. He is going to be met with not kind fanfare. I think the next night on Raw is going to be even worse. I think because the crowds the night after Raw have gotten a reputation for being crazy. Obviously, 29 was the big one. The night after WrestleMania 29, which I'm so sorry I didn't go to that show. But I think the heat for Roman's going to be nuclear if he wins the belt and he goes in front of that crowd the next night on Raw. It's going to be bad. But I am not interested in this main event. Like I said, you've built up this story with a protagonist that I do not care about. Therefore, I do not care about the match. That is a problem. I just don't care about the main event, and that's really kind of the. People go to that match to highlight the main problems with this WrestleMania, but like I said, this whole card is littered with problems because of the way it's been booked, and it has been built up and booked so poorly and so horribly that I can't believe I spent this much time talking about it, because I'm like, just go watch one episode of Raw during the road to WrestleMania and you know pretty much everything there is to know, because they did the same goddamn show every week. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I got. WrestleMania, I'm going into it with a lot of negativity. But like I said, I think the workers can hopefully make something work out of it. Make something happen or something work. Because I'm not rooting for a bad WrestleMania. I'm going to be watching it. It's going to be 4.5 hours of my time that I'm going to be spending on this shit, so I hope it's good. I mean, holy crap. But, yeah, other things to look forward to this weekend, though. I'm going to check out Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor. I was at Supercard of Honor back in back at WrestleMania 29 weekend. I did go to that show, and that show was incredible. Now, I'm looking over the card for Supercard of Honor, and it's not the most stellar card ever. It's not bad, but it's not really an eye-popping card. I mean, Joe is going to be facing Jay Briscoe for the ROH World Title, and that's kind of cool, but there's nothing on it that's really like, oh my god, I have to throw myself at the pay-per-view to see it. But quite honestly, I'm just willing to give another wrestling company a chance, because if I'm going to throw my time and energy into a WrestleMania card that I have no faith in, I can throw my faith into a card that I only have a little bit of faith in, and I know Ring of Honor is going to try harder. Whether or not it actually works out, we'll just have to wait and see. But actually, as far as other things this weekend, I'm more excited for the Hall of Fame than I am the actual WrestleMania, because it's actually a pretty good class this year with Randy Savage, Kevin Nash, Larry Zbyszko, which is a really good pick. Medusa, which is a really good pick, and no, I'm not calling her Alundra Blaze. In my mind, her name's Medusa. Who else is in there? Arnold's in the class, which I kind of like, being an action movie fan and everything. It's going to be cool to see Arnold in there. Good old Arnold Schwarzenegger. I never thought he'd come back to the WWE, but he came back. Who else is in the class? Am I forgetting somebody? I might be. I don't know. But in any case, overall, I think the Hall of Fame class is really good. Savage being the main highlight of it. I want to see what they do for Savage. And after all these years of basically begging, kicking, and screaming to get Savage into the Hall of Fame, they finally gave in. So that'll be fun to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing that particular event. I heard earlier today that Eva Marie is going to be the host of the Hall of Fame, which I can't even imagine that, because I've listened to that girl talk before, and she can barely string 2 sentences together. So, okay, good luck. Good luck with that. But I'm just there for the induction speeches and the actual speeches from the Hall of Famers themselves. So, that's more interesting to me than whoever the host is. So I'll let that slide, whatever. But in any case, WrestleMania weekend should be interesting regardless of what happens, and who knows what the fuck is going to happen. But, hopefully WrestleMania 31, or I'm sorry, WrestleMania play button, which is what the logo says. Hopefully the show's not a disaster. That's basically, alright, my expectations are so low. All you have to do is not be bad. Can you not be bad? Okay? If you can accomplish that, good on you. More power to you. But, last year's show, I think they had all the intrigue with Daniel Bryan and his story. And I think that was enough to kind of generate a lot of excitement and interest for this WrestleMania. And this WrestleMania just has nothing. And that's, I'm more excited about a lot of the other things, like the Ring of Honor show and, the Hall of Fame. And actually, I'm looking ahead to what NXT and Lucha Underground are going to do. And New Japan, we're getting Kota Ibushi and AJ Styles for the IWGP title next week. I'm more looking forward to that than I am WrestleMania. But in any case, that is all I have for now. I'm glad you all enjoyed, I don't know if you enjoyed it, but I hope you all enjoyed listening to my drunken rampage over previewing and predicting this shithole that WWE presented to us this year. But that is all I have for now. Hope you all have a good WrestleMania weekend. Hopefully WrestleMania doesn't suck, but I wouldn't hold my breath waiting for that. But that is all I have for now, and I will be back early next week with a review of WrestleMania, maybe even the night of. I might even post a small little reaction video. The latest you'll get my review for WrestleMania will be on Tuesday, because I think I'm going to be going out Monday night. But by Tuesday, you should have a review of WrestleMania by me, and I hope you all like it, and I hope you all have a good weekend. But until then, I will see you all later, and peace out.